Hello, everybody, and welcome to Digital Transformations, where we explore the bits and bytes to elevate your winery. Today's our first episode with an industry focus, and today we're going to be diving in, looking at the ways people find your winery using the digital pathway. So let's dive in.
Hello, and we're
Everybody,
back.
we're back.
And as Kara mentioned today's our first kind of focus on industry specific, and we're going to be doing some industry specific video casts and podcasts that are going to be focused on different aspects of the digital world, and maybe some very specific ideas and thoughts on how those affect and work within different industries. And as always, I would love to hear your thoughts and throw those into our chat and our comments throughout there. So my name's Andrew, and
I'm Cara.
and we're Blue Ascension. So let's get started on today.
Sounds
How are you doing
awesome.
today, Cara?
I'm doing well. Yay. Excited about this topic, for sure.
So the first kind of thing that we're kind of talking about is how do people find wineries? One thought is we definitely go wine tasting and check out different wineries and how they do things, and I think both from a consumer perspective, how are these found, and also from a digital marketing and marketing perspective, how does the wineries and themselves kind of outshine all their neighbors, and of course they're good product and good services, but it's not always that found. There's a lot of good stuff out there that you don't necessarily know about yet, and we're still discovering stuff many
That's right.
years down the road. So
That's
what's your
right.
thought on the topic here today?
Yeah. Well, at least where we are in the Paso Robles Central Coast area of California, there are 400 and counting wineries. So like Andrew said, we go wine tasting. It's something that we really like to do, and we just think about how crowded that space is for wineries and how people find a winery, because we've found some gems, and I'm sure there's a lot of those we haven't even found yet. So really interested from both a, like you said, Andrew, a consumer standpoint, and how do I find your winery, and from a digital marketing standpoint, how can you really leverage all the pieces of the puzzle and draw people into your winery. And eventually the whole goal is to get them from tasting to more sales and that kind of thing, and continuing to develop that relationship over time. So excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, and we're gonna go through each of the kind of topics here. So the first
Mhm.
kind of talked about this. The first topic or idea here is about how do you get from here to there, and from here to there. Again, this is kind of a little bit of a digital marketing perspective, but we talked about the wine lovers, customer journey, and as us as
Mhm.
both people who love wine and people who work with wineries to help promote their wineries as
Mhm.
well. You think about there's kind of there's many stages and there's lots of different variants of this, and but to simplify this, as Kara mentioned, like from um, how do we get from looking, people who are interested in your wines and your wineries, or
Mhm.
some wine in wineries, and something that of ultimately, when you talk to wineries or you talk to, ultimately that, at the end of the wine tasting experience is always like, would you like to join our wine club, and or would you like to buy some more wine? So ultimately, if you like the product, that's an important thing there, and you like wine and you like that specific wine,
Mhm.
um, how do you get from there? So we kind of broke this into 5. Again, this is just, it could be any number, but and so the first one is, that you're interested in wine, right, Kara? It's that
Mhm. Right.
I really love wine. I want to do a wine experience. I want to go to a wine event, right? You've been to many wine events
Uh-huh.
and do that. Like, you're there to learn new things and try new things so that you can find out what's good, right?
Right. Mhm. Meet the people. Yeah. Yep.
Meet the people, of course, taste the wines. Kara's
Mhm.
a people person. She likes to start with people, and we go there, and then and it always helps. Like, there, that people are helping share their passions for these things.
Yeah.
And so the next point is where the entry point is, right? And the entry point for us is um, where people start that journey of now saying, I am looking for an experience or wine in a specific area.
Mhm.
There's a target of opportunity. We're ready to go visit, um, and then maybe what do you then talk about the next one, Caro? About now we
Mhm.
say, okay, we found what we want. What's the next step? What's a typical experience?
Yeah, you get there, you do a tasting, you decide you like it. You might sign up for you might sign up for the wine club right there. You might, but maybe you'll give them your email and you'll get on their newsletter list and that kind of stuff, and maybe come back with a friend next time, a different friend, something like that. So it starts with
Yeah,
that first visit to the winery and what that experience is like.
yeah. And so the very typical thing for people that may, not know as much about it, but you usually either have a drop in or you reserve a space and you go in and say, I want to taste your wines, and that goes in, and usually the winery picks, you know, 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 different wines that they want to share, and usually it starts from light to darker red, of course, at the end. And
Mhm.
then you kind of go through a tasting, and there's different types of tastings and different ways to do that. But ultimately, you try each of the wines, and you sometimes it's guided in the sense where they give you a little bit of a taste. You're going to taste a little bit of a fresh apple, and a little bit of
Mhm.
acidity or whatever. But they're kind of helping you come up with a framework, whether you're experienced or not. How each winery does it a little different. So as
Mhm.
Kara said, now what's the next steps on there? Then we talk about the follow up, where at the end of the wine experience or wine event, there might be some follow up opportunities. And what are those? And
Mhm.
again, if you want to continue that relationship there, or that kind of continued customer journey, then ultimately you want to either have a way to invite them back, or give them a deal or an opportunity to visit you at a different time or different types of event. And then,
Mhm.
like Kara said, you ultimately want to, what's the ultimate thing there? What's the last thing they always ask?
Yeah. Join the wine club.
Three
Mhm.
bottle or 6 bottle, right? 3 bottle or 6 bottle.
Exactly. Mhm.
Right. And so, you know, and we always joke around that, some people are really nice at this, and they'll say, are you wanting to pick up a case today, or you just want to join the wine club? And they're like, oh, I wasn't even thinking anything. And depending on how much wine you have, you may have different decisions along the way. So
That's true.
but that's the journey. It could be more
Yeah.
complex than that, right, Cara? But does that pretty sum it up pretty
Yeah,
well?
that's pretty much the journey for sure. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Cara mentioned here, one of the things that will come on the side here, it might be a little easier, is I pull a little map here, and this is just one little quick view of Paso Robles, right? And the south, I would say the south version of Paso Robles and Templeton,
Mhm.
right? Which
Right.
is, where we're from. We're down in the South Edna Valley area, which is near the coast, and it's a
Mhm.
little more cool climate. And I would say there's like 25 to 30 wineries out here on this area.
Down south here. Yep.
And then up north, as Carter mentioned, it's, you could go from 300 to 400 or plus wineries from a Templeton, different areas of Paso. And Paso's pretty big, and there's different west, east, north, south, and different places in there. So this is just one view, and we're going to talk a little bit about this here. But when you're coming in and you're a winery and you're saying, okay, I am one of these little pins here. And so we're going to talk about how does that become from a pin to visiting you, and there's lots of different ways we're going to enter into this journey here. So definitely a fun aspect. So here to there. So should we do the beginnings, the digital beginnings here?
Let's do. Yes, let's do.
All right. So we added a little funness here, but digital beginnings. How do you enter into that digital stream where somebody who may be coming to visit you wants to visit, and now where are the places that they're going to see you and enter into kind of awareness of either your wines or opportunities that your wines may be presenting, right? And so why don't you just hit them all and what they are first, and then we'll talk a little bit about what they are, Cara.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, so social media is pretty obvious one. Instagram, Facebook. Some wineries are on TikTok, which is very creative and fun, and it's the impression that you give out there. So looking at, and the question I always kind of answer internally for me is, do I fit there? Can I see myself in that space or that whatever? So that's social media. Search is looking at like Googling wineries near me or searching your website if you know a specific winery, that kind of thing. Local Maps is also that. It's doing a Yelp search or a Google Maps search of wineries in the area, that kind of thing. And then groups or associations. Most areas have a winery association. So it's a trade association, and it has usually all of the winery members listed on their website, usually alphabetical. So if you're in A, you're way at the top. And if you're not, you're not. but there's also ways to parse that content, and they probably have different ways to do that as well. So those are the main ways to find your winery. What else you want to add to that, Andrew?
Yeah, so this is all digital first. We have some other section. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about this. So Carter mentioned social media. We talk, the first thing here. And social media really is, and on social media, there's groups. There's maybe wine lovers groups or area wine groups. And I say groups as in pages, like in Facebook groups. And then you can search hashtags, wine, Paso Robles wine, Edna Valley wine, wineries, wineries. Of course, the bigger you are, think about the whole world. There's thousands of wineries in the world as well. And so it can get very confusing. So a lot of times people search by area. And that's where, again, even then you may have hundreds of people in that area. And so we talk about social media. Even if you do have a good, nice search, right? The next thing is, are those images, and Cara hit it really good, was that is this resonating with you? So when you see these pictures, and we pick some fun pictures, right? But are these fun? Just when you see these, and again, these are just fun that we, us out, but us going to different events and stuff like that. But you go to a place and you're saying, hey, does this resonate with me? Is this the kind of experience that I want to do? Am I looking for a casual winery? Am I looking for a high-end luxury winery? Am I looking for a kind of a wine bar / relaxing, sit on the couch event, or kind of relax and have a good discussion with it? Are we looking for a wine experience? Do we want to take a wine cave? Like, right? There's so many. Right? Do you want to have lunch out there? Right? So you as a winery, we talked about this before, but really focusing on really sharing what your branding and feel is, so that people can resonate with that. And then how do you match that with media, videos, in your copy, and of course,
Right.
it describing this, and it's all kind of a subtle dance along this way. So social media is that first kind of
Hmm.
people can scroll and see that and follow, and then they start resonating, and maybe they start planning out. And we're going to go into that a little bit about some journeys there. Cara, you search a lot, right? And you kind of
Hmm.
search, even us that go in those areas a lot, we use this a lot, right? So,
Yeah, we sure do. We sure do. Yeah. Yeah.
so if you go to search and you go to search wineries Paso Robles, and you're going to see, you're still going to get results, and again, results maybe based off of somebody's good web company that has good SEO, and maybe they have some articles out there. So,
Hmm.
they may or may not be what you're looking for. So the more you can refine your searches and more there. But as a winery, then how do you get into search, and how do you get into the top of 400 different wineries in your area? And again, we're going to have specific episodes there, but
Right.
would you say that search is definitely not the best, always the best results of what you're looking for right away? It's kind of hard just off a search, right?
Yes, I would. The analogy I would use is it brings up a whole bucket of water and you're just looking for a cup. So when you
That's a
just
good
search, it's
analogy.
like, oof, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like that map. It's kind of an overwhelming thing as well.
Right. So, of course, as you get more content out there, you have more events, you have more things, your search will definitely rise to, go up. And as we work with clients, there's lots of different ways to rise in those search, but each of these have specific strategies there. But I would say this
Hmm.
is kind of the
Hmm.
longer version. Definitely your copy and good websites help. And we'll go into that on different episodes
Hmm.
here. But and then so we go into local maps, and it's very similar, right? You get
Uh-huh.
in there, but local and maps could be local search. We have, Google, which is Google My Business and Google Maps. There's Yelp. There's some other search engines, Bing and other things. So
Hmm.
there's your iPhone search or by place. But let's say you go through the difference here is that then this is based off of a little bit better, more of the keywords, and
Hmm.
also it's very focused on location. So
Location.
a
Yeah.
lot of time you don't search this until you get into the location, or maybe you can scroll to that area and then you say search for wineries in Paso Robles, and then maybe you find a few wineries that you like, and then you're going to search in that area for other wineries, right, Cara? So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
and so
Exactly.
opportunities. The
Yeah.
other the other cool things of search is that you as the owner get to load photos. You get you can do posts here as well, and then also you can set up events and things that are going on here, and so that definitely helps with search as well. And also your reviews are in here. So the more
Hmm.
reviews you have, and Carl, we talked about this, like when you go search, definitely we read reviews a lot, but you got to take it with a grain of salt. And there's lots
Right.
of variance in here, but um, reviews definitely can add some extra flavor in there as well, right?
Oh, for sure. They're important, like it or not, they're very important. And when you're a winery doing a good job, your reviews will usually reflect that. So, but as consumers, I think we all look at the low scores as like, don't we don't give those a whole lot of credence if it's not a pattern, if it's just a one-off and or that's very rare. Yeah.
You're always going to have grumpy people, right?
Yes, you are.
But then on the other side, how does if it's a really bad one, how does the winery respond? And
Exactly. Hmm.
then are they really confrontative, or are they kind of guiding the people, not necessarily the people that are complaining, but maybe guiding that
Hmm.
that might be a one off, or there's just
Right.
some context to that, and that definitely bad reviews can be mitigated to a certain degree. And most of the time, it's mitigated by awesome reviews and just overwhelmingly by you providing great service
Hmm.
and wine. You're going to get people into your place.
Hmm. Exactly.
Um, and then the groups and associations is an interesting thing, and I'd love to get your thought, Cara. But I
Hmm.
would say groups and associations is just a big search engine for a local area.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of times, there's not always focused on helping you find the best winery. They're just having a clearer place to have descriptions and an easier place for you to search for the whole list. And you always notice maybe one or two are at the top that aren't in alphabetical order, and
Mm-hmm.
good or bad, that might be that those people might have paid for higher end results. Just like in Google, you can pay ads, and we can
Mm-hmm.
talk about that too.
Right.
But
Right.
associations, I think, are a good place if you're not sure what the area. But again, you're just going to get a list of 20 to 50 to 100 different results in alphabetical order. And then the wineries, again, you as a winery can take advantage of those if you are part of those, to make sure you have good copy, good ways to share
Mm-hmm.
your story,
Right.
and a good image or images that share, the experience and how you might feel that. So,
Uh-huh. Right.
um,
And of course, be sure that if you have events, they're up there and shared out as well, because that's a good
yeah,
place
and
to
I
look
would say
for
a lot
that.
of times you don't have to be part of the organization sometimes, always to be part of all the event sites and
Mm-hmm.
newspapers. So definitely can
Mm-hmm.
take advantage of
Good
that.
point. Yeah, good point.
And of course, the last way that's really not as much digital marketing, but the other. And what would you say is,
Yeah.
word of mouth and some other things
Word of
that
mouth
you.
referrals. Oftentimes if you go to a winery and have a tasting, you can ask your server where they would go, because it's really nice to know what an industry person, what wineries they also like to go and try those out. And so internal referrals, other friends that you've heard about. Yeah, news
And of
stories, that
course,
kind of thing, something new
we
going
we
on.
call it, um, drive-bys. How well are you?
Drive-bys. Hmm.
How well are
Yeah.
you noting that you do have wine tasting from time?
Right.
Welcome in, come on in. We accept no reservations,
Hmm.
or stop by, or
Yeah.
check out our website, or call us or whatever. So definitely, a lot of times, especially in the areas that we go to, you go to a winery here or there, and then you may
Hmm.
do one search, one drive through to find one you like, and then one through verbal, or ask people what their favorite wineries. And those are
Hmm.
some good strategies. But
Right.
on the wine side, how do you, you know, physically note your location, and how do you build relationships within the industry as well to,
Hmm. Right.
and again, a lot of the wine people that, your people that work for you, definitely have some of their favorites, and definitely, they do talk, and in a good way. I think it's good to share,
Hmm.
you know, industry favorites. So that's kind of it. And on the local map thing, Blue Ascension, we do have a whole guide you can download that has a ton of extra ways to, add more value to your local and search.
Hmm.
But we talked about here to there, our digital beginnings. And so uh, we kind of thought it might be fun to break into two different wine stories, and how two
Hmm.
different types of groups may enter in your virtual funnel or your virtual maps through different ways. And so
Hmm.
you want to kind of talk a
Yeah.
little bit about the two different avatars or people or your customers, and
Right.
maybe
Uh-huh.
how they may think or approach this a little differently.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So one is, and we see this, and when we go out to wineries, there are kind of not just two customer groups, but these are very typical. So two friends from LA or a big city coming to wine country for a weekend or just a girls' getaway, that kind of thing. And then the other one would be a couple that's maybe planning a wine weekend or maybe a little vacation, that kind of thing, maybe looking for a retirement home and going to do some wine tasting in the meantime, that kind of thing. So these both the demographics are different. So they're typically going to be looking at the digital stepping stones a little different way. So as you can imagine, the two friends up for the weekend might be looking first at social. They'll definitely go there first, scroll, look at the pictures, see. And really, I think, do I fit there? Is that the kind of vibe I want to go to? Is that kind of experience I want to have? That kind of thing. Then they'll do
Yeah.
local searches. And yeah, what else do you think they would do, Andrew?
Yeah, and I think this is, as we're, the more we get into digital marketing, and the more we also enjoy and consume,
Hmm.
experiences as well as wine, is that you think about how do different ages and different people use technology and also think about what kind of experiences they want. And these two avatars or two people customer styles might have different ways. And so Cara mentioned maybe a younger group, might want more experience based. They might want places where they can enjoy with their friends and tell their friends where they went and share Instagram stories and tag the wineries and share kind of share their experience there. And maybe the older couples are really more into maybe a refined experience where they can relax and sit down. And maybe, maybe they want a wine bar type experience where you sit on the couch and talk, and maybe it's a little less structured of a wine tasting, but you still have a wine tasting, but it's really relaxing, and you spend 2 to 3 hours and just have a cheese board or whatever. And you as a winery really, can cater to both of these groups, but they're going to enter in through there. And so Cara mentioned, I think the younger groups might be focusing more on social media. So again, having a social media presence is important, and their entry point could be Facebook or Instagram, or they search hashtags, or they found Paso Robles social media, and then or Edna Valley social media, or they're maybe searching Pinot Noir in Edna Valley. Like, there's lots of different ways these things can happen, but maybe they're entering through there. So we talked about the entry point, and then maybe like Cara mentioned, the couple. What do you think are some of the goals of the older couples? Find some nice wine to take home.
I think you really nailed that, Andrew. Yeah, a nice experience, not rushed, kind of casual if it's casual, but still kind of elegant, that kind of thing. But yeah, probably nice wine. This is very much a generality, but they may be more likely to join a wine club after that first tasting. So that's always a nice thing to keep in mind and keep the whole experience really, really good. But from a digital point of view, yeah, I would say, again, very broad generalities for both of these avatars, but, more traditional searching, that kind of thing. And maybe looking at a wine association page, because it gives you everything. So what do you think about that, Andrew? How do you think their first stepping stone would be?
Yeah, I think more search, more based at, maybe Facebook potentially, but or it might be an Instagram as well, but ultimately they're going to be maybe location based, because they're going to be going to a certain location, and maybe they have their first one set up by an event they're attending. A lot of times maybe they're coming in town, and when we're working with wineries, and we make sure that their events are on local search and all that stuff as well. So people say, hey, what's going on this weekend? And they find out there's a wine dinner, or there's some music playing. And so then they might be that first one, and then you might do searches around there. Or if you're, a little less of a planner, you might do it from the winery that you're at and say wineries near me, and you see what else is there and do quick review. And again, you may make these decisions within seconds, right? As you're flipping through and like, okay, we're going to go here, call them up. And, now you can call from searches, and everybody has pretty much access from almost anywhere. So,
yeah, good point.
So now, so social, how would you say that the younger people, once they go to social, how do you think they get to the winery? And how do they get to that appointment? How do they find if you find a winery through social? Take us through the story from there. So they found you on social. What's next? How do they get to the winery?
They might DM you and see if you have some automated directions, that kind of thing, or they'll just go directly to your link in bio. Hopefully you'll have some information there, maybe a map somewhere on your social feed. So make it easy, and also do posts that are easy that share your location, share the experience, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we always talk about, the general what to know, the experience, what you're going to, what's the background? Is it the type of place you're looking for? Does it have the vibe and look and wines that you're looking for? And then where to go is next. And so how do they get there? How do they sign in? How do they register? A lot of places have automatic ways to register and sign up for your wine tasting experience.
Right.
And make it easy, right? And then
That's the big thing. Yeah, make it really easy. Make it easy.
Yeah. And Kara mentioned there that, you might have a link within your social media, or sometimes have your call to actions. Make sure they share how to easy get signed up and get signed into your wine tasting, and how to visit you. Do they call? Do they set reservations? Can they just show up? And just make it clear, make it easy. And if they see those things, they're definitely going to be doing that. And then the older people might be doing through Solch. No, the older, this is our example today. The older couple might be then searching through search, and then they find your website. So then that's why we talk about your website so important. What are your two big pages on your website, right? So how to come visit us, right?
Yeah.
And how to find us. And then on that page, what are the opportunities or experiences you can have, and maybe a little bit about them, and maybe even some testimonials. And then they go and then how make it easy to get signed up. And that maybe in this case they do that. And so then both of us go have different entry points, but we're coming into the same wine tasting experience we talked about, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And this is where we may vary from here, but either or. But let's say the couple that came in, maybe they're looking for a longer term. They want more wine, or they have more money to spend on wine down the road, so that maybe they get signed up right then after the wine tasting experience, and that's where the follow up. Hey, would you like to join a wine club? And they said yes. So they get in your wine club, they get in your email list, and then it kind of starts the next stage of that relationship.
Right.
Whereas the two friends may have gotten signed up to an email list, and they, send their pictures, and they tag you later on down the road. And so how do you kind of nurture that to get maybe them to come visit the next time they're in, or them to leave a review, or them to share their great experiences on social media so they can tag you? Do you make it easy? Do you share your handles and your page names, and easy make it QR codes for them to tag you on their posts? So this is two stories along the way, right? They're almost the same thing, but there's some minor subtleties there. So is there anything that you want to finish up from the two stories here?
No, that's it, Andrew. But they're kind of parallel paths. We're working through the forest to the winery, but they still get to the same place for sure.
And my takeaway is that just really understanding, where your customers are coming from, how are they finding you, and really looking at those different paths. And you may have people coming from different ways, and how do we optimize for each of those? So that's what we're going to be kind of going into some of this series. And for winery, how do you optimize your social media, and what are the kind of images and stories that people want to read and learn about, so that you have things to talk about and you have good pictures? And then how do you build that into your digital media flow? And then, as well as if they go directly to search, that goes to your website, or do you have local search set up? And also, do you have your landing pages set up so that it makes it easy people to say, I resonate with that. That sounds like a cool place. I want to sit out on the patio, and I want to hang out for a few hours and have a view like that, or have an experience like that with some nice music and things like that.
Yeah, so, exactly.
So we talked about how here to there. How do you get people into the journey, the beginnings of where those initial places are, the few different stories were there. And so kind of, we can go into each of those different areas, but today we're going to, today we just wanted to give you a little bit of overview of how each of those get into the journey. It should give you some ideas, and definitely things to think about who's your avatar, how are they getting in your kind of digital flow, how you want to present yourself so that they can resonate with their plans and their experience, and then how do you then make it easy for them to come visit, right?
Yeah, And then stay in touch later afterwards. Yep.
and keep in touch and follow
Perfect.
through, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of, this is just a very simplified version of this, but your website is really your main hub, right? And how do you optimize
Yeah.
that in your main landing pages? We're going to
Mhm.
be doing some more on that in the future, as well as your sales pages. I think, especially for a wine club, and if that's your end all be all page for your website,
Right. Hmm.
do you really explain how your wine club is benefiting them, how easy it is, what are the
Hmm.
benefits that they can have? Here's some
Right.
experiences and people that enjoy your wine club and some of the events that they've attended because of the wine club. So really make those should be your focus pages, when they say how to visit and the
Hmm.
experiences you have and your wine club. And those are your two big pages. Of course, your portals into each of those and sharing your story.
Right. Hmm.
And I would say that a lot of times too, people go and visit about pages as well. So
Hmm. Right.
um, we have a whole series on this, and definitely we're going to dig into
Mhm.
this a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Um, anything on my websites that without going too detail, but
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Andrew. I think you nailed it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what's
Just
your what's your what's your
yeah.
favorite thing, or the most frustrating thing when you go to a website when you're searching for a place to visit?
A couple things. User experience, meaning which is a really big term for as a user, how easy it is to navigate. So if there's some background image that has to load on every page, it's really frustrating. It takes a lot of time, that kind of thing. But also just the best way I can put it is to kind of anticipate what the questions are and just answer those right up front and just make it super easy. Super easy.
Yeah, a lot of the new forums, they have conversational type forums now where they
Hmm.
ask you a question and it moves to the next conversation point, or a real nice
Right.
streamline. As well as, Kara mentioned, we have some big websites around, all, in wine. And sometimes they used to have, there was one that we had an experience with, and it used to be a really nice website. And then we went there, and now every time you go to a page, it has this loading thing, and this thing happens, and it's 3 or 5 seconds every time, and eventually you're kind of like, okay, I'll figure this out myself. So definitely don't scare it might look prettier and it may have some stuff, but definitely really look at the user experience
Yeah.
there. um, so, and then this, don't let this scare you, but this is really how it fits in the customer journey. And so the blue
Hmm.
is once you get them in there, once you have your social media, building an audience, right? Your community,
Right.
you have a
Hmm.
wine club community. We're gonna, we have some thoughts and some fun things on great wine clubs and why are they great, and how some people really rock it out of the park and make you really want to come back. Of course, wine
Hmm.
is the most important thing, and from the wine perspective, but also the experiences as well. So you
Yeah.
can have great wine and not a good experience. So
Hmm.
definitely
Sure.
that's there.
Yeah.
Local search we talked about, and social media and CTAs, calls to action. How do you let them people know, hey, it's okay to come visit us, when to come visit, we have events coming, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And then we talk about, once we lead them here, Kara's specialty, the email and telling stories. And once you get them in there, really sharing stories, and really there's a huge opportunity for both building a lot more long-term relationships and
Hmm.
telling stories, right, Kara?
Uh-huh. Yes, absolutely. And really, I think that's one of the keys for any part of communication. I call it, communicating human to human, heart to heart, that kind of thing. But this is a great opportunity to share that side of your story.
Right. And last week we had, I thought, was that last week we talked about the different aspects of a great newsletter,
Uh-huh.
and how to really, some ideas for different areas of your newsletter. And then a few weeks before that, we also did the 5 C's of storytelling, and
Yeah.
how to really, even in a short form version, tell your stories. I can't tell you, Kara, everybody, we all have our own
Mhm.
things. Some people
Right.
have different experiences, but I
Hmm.
think the people that have really good stories and good wine really are the ones that we keep coming back to a lot of for the wineries. Would you agree?
Hmm. Yes, yes, for sure. And I think it is the people and the whole experience. It doesn't have to necessarily be a really high end luxury feeling. But if the people are genuine and the wine is good and it's just the whole package is a really enjoyable experience, we'll be back.
Right. Yeah. And definitely be sharing more of those. And maybe, like I said, that business with a heart, where, who are the people that are really doing it well in the industries, and share kind of their approach. So definitely, and if you have some favorite wineries, or you have some favorite things that you like to do that works really well from a winery perspective, or if you have questions or things that maybe we glossed over that maybe we didn't hit, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So definitely, don't be shy there. And the last step is, of course, sales. And we talked about your ultimate sales pages are your come visit or register for wine tasting, or come visit. Make sure you have good map. Can they sign up? Can they call? And also your wine club page. And what is the difference between the different tiers? What are the benefits you get? How's the experience feel? And when people have that and they build that trust already, they've gone to that page. If they get to your wine club page, they've built some trust, right?
Yes.
And so now, how do you take it to make them feel trust? And even if they're not there, where do you lead them next if they're not ready yet? You might lead them to come visit, or event that you're coming down your event pages. So lots of different ways that you can take people along the journey.
Exactly.
Any takeaways for the how it's all put together, Cara? I know that we kind of, there's a lot there, but how do you feel like the flow through that the whole thing?
I just had a kind of a vision, Andrew, that it's kind of like winemaking. So you start with the vineyard grapes that are just these singular things, but then they ripen up. So you're inviting people in, and then the wine gets blended. So people enjoy the experience. They get a little farther down the path, and then you go to bottling and enjoyment. And that's kind of the sharing the stories of your winery, helping people enjoy it over a longer period of time, whether they just come back and do tastings every month, or they join the wine club, or come to your events, whatever that is. But it's kind of the same thing. Starts with just something small and it grows into something much bigger.
Nurturing both the process and the relationship. Yeah. And I think the people that do the best throughout, especially on the digital journey, but do the best in person as well, are usually people that take those small details and they nurture. And that's why we had the 1 through 5. Like, people don't say, I heard your wine was good, I want to sign up for the wine club. Like, they want to visit, they want to taste your wines, they want to meet you, and hear stories and talk to you and listen to why and how this process got created. So don't be afraid to share those things. And sometimes we see high-end brands that are really kind of luxury brand. They don't really have really strong stories, and maybe they have really beautiful places and beautiful experiences. But I think a little bit of story, and share a little bit about different ways people enjoy your brands, or enjoy your experiences. Just so many ways to do that. So I definitely would love to hear your thoughts and maybe some ideas there. But and we always kind of go through, what's next here. And this is where we, say, I think the big takeaway from me is, as Cara said, is about nurturing the experience. And think about the digital experiences is nurturing along the way. And how do you build trust in both your brand, your wine, your experiences, that people know? That's why they say where, what to know, where to go, what to try, what to buy, right? Is that they're saying, hey, people want to know, are more and more, we're searching and doing a little bit of research before what we're going to be going to do to spend money and our time. And time is just as important as money. And then how do you nurture that into a good relationship from a customer perspective? And then how do you nurture that on your digital side to make sure that people have a clear message through your message, your content, your newsletters, and things like that? And that's what we're here for. So, Cara, what's your takeaway for when I say what we're here for? We're Blue Ascension, and we do digital marketing for companies, but also we're also sharing this journey with you to share our thoughts and get some interchange and conversation back of what have you seen, and we want to learn from you and see what you've seen well. and we all can help each other grow the industry and grow
Yeah.
interest in wine, and really share the appreciation for the journey, events, and really it's all about those experiences. What do
Yeah.
you think, Cara?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's so about wine, especially the wine industry, especially for me, is so much about the human connection. And we wouldn't be there if human beings didn't make this beautiful product, to begin with. So it's all about that. And I think the more we can share that along the journey, and of course have great wine at the end, all is well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with that, we're we always say we're going to be doing more of this. We'd love to hear what interests you
Yeah.
and what you would like to hear more of, both in the wine industry, or if there's other industries that you're interested in and we want to dig down into it, as well as is there any specific topics that you're going to we're going to be going into different aspects within each of these, like social media, email, and website focus for wineries, and love to maybe add some additional fun information. If there's stuff that people are looking into, we can do research as well and find some good ideas. So and our big QR code over here, come visit our website and subscribe to our channel, and we're going to be doing more of this. So love to hear from you and what your favorite experiences are, as well as some of the things you see are done right and wrong. So
yeah, please share your experiences and what else you'd like to learn about. And we're all on this journey together.